Welcome to Beautiful Oops, a podcast for children of all ages. I'm Barney Salzberg, and I have a book here that I wrote and illustrated many years ago called This is a Great Place for a Hot Dog Stand. And one of the things I love about writing and illustrating books is that I never know where I'm going to get an idea. And growing up with a father like mine, whose name was Irving, his real name was Izzy, whenever there was a crowd, a lot of people, we could be standing in line at a movie, we could be at a wedding, and my father would always look at us and say, "This is a great place for a hot dog stand." And when I got older, I started thinking about that and thinking that it might be a fun title to write a book about, and seeing how a lot of buildings were being torn down that I loved in the city I grew up in, Los Angeles. It kind of came together as a story about change, history, hot dogs, and, well, you'll see. So I'm going to have to describe, as I always do, some of these pictures because this is a picture book. But hopefully between my description and the words, you will have this story in your mind to imagine while I'm reading. This is a great place for a hot dog stand. Izzy hated his job. He worked in a toy factory painting baby beastie horns. The smell of paint made Izzy sick. And he's standing at a assembly line, and these purple beastie dolls are going by him one at a time, and he's standing with a can of paint in his hand and a little paintbrush, and he just paints the yellow horn on the nose of each beastie. Izzy left the factory on his lunch hour. He would take long, slow, deep breaths of the world outside where he longed to be. One afternoon, he smelled something so delightful that it made his mouth water. Izzy felt as if he were floating over a carnival on a hot summer's day. And he's imagining himself floating over a carnival on a hot summer's day. A hot dog vendor wheeled her hot dog stand right past his nose. The wonderful aroma gave Izzy an idea. That night, Izzy built his own hot dog stand. It was really more of a cart. It had wheels and an umbrella where he painted his name Izzy on top. He quit working at the factory and set out to find a place to sell hot dogs. Izzy is standing on the top of a mountain looking around for a spot. I'm not quite sure how he got up there with that cart. Izzy pushed his stand until he came to the top of a hill with a beautiful view. "Ah, fresh air," he said. "This is a great place for a hot dog stand." Izzy waited. Nobody came. He didn't mind. He was happy being outdoors. In the afternoon, there were still no customers. In fact, it was so quiet, Izzy fell asleep. By the end of the day, Izzy hadn't sold a single hot dog. Maybe this wasn't such a good place for a hot dog stand after all, he thought. It's dark and the stars are out. The next morning, Izzy followed the scent of green grass and trees to a crowded park. "This is a great place for a hot dog stand," he said. "You're right," he heard someone say. "My grandfather sold hot dogs here, my father sold hot dogs here, and now I do, so why don't you follow your nose somewhere else?" There was a little guy not very happy with Izzy talking to him. "Selling hot dogs is harder than I thought," said Izzy, and he pushed his cart to look for another spot. Izzy wandered down a street and noticed a tiny dirt lot between two old buildings. He looked around. Busy neighborhood, he thought. Izzy sniffed for a moment. "I can't smell anybody selling hot dogs. It's settled. This is a great place for a hot dog stand." Izzy cleaned away the weeds and hauled away the trash. When the lot was clean, he parked his hot dog stand. Izzy took out 2 different kinds of mustard, a jumbo bottle of ketchup, and jars filled with all sorts of wonderful things to pile on top of hot dogs. Even before Izzy had a chance to chop the onions, he sold his first hot dog. Izzy was delighted. Soon, everyone in the neighborhood knew about Izzy's hot dogs. And once you ate at Izzy's, he never forgot your name or how you liked your hot dog. Gertie loved hot dogs with pineapple sauce twice a day. Zeppo always ordered a chutney chicken dog with a squirt of ketchup and 3 scoops of relish. Izzy always remembered. Ned ate a kielbasa dog on a sesame bun every Tuesday at noon. Izzy always had it ready. Sometimes Izzy knew what type of hot dog a new customer would like just by looking at his face. Izzy knew he had found the perfect place to sell hot dogs. He decided to build a permanent stand so everyone would know where he'd be. When the new stand was finished, it looked like a giant hot dog. Visitors came from miles around just to take a peek. Izzy was happy. One afternoon, a man who introduced himself as Earl stopped by for a turkey dog with extra onions. "Nice place for a hot dog stand," said Earl. "I know," said Izzy. "Too bad you have to move," said Earl. Izzy watched Earl swallow his hot dog in one bite. Izzy could smell trouble. "I've got orders to knock this block down," said Earl. "A mega mall is going up." "But I just built this hot dog stand," said Izzy. Earl handed Izzy a green piece of paper. It was an official-looking letter from a Madame Moulamoo. It said she owned the block and that a mega mall was to be erected on the very site. If there were any questions, she could be reached at her home in Heiferville. Earl crunched his napkin into a ball and dropped it in the trash. "I guess it wasn't such a great place for a hot dog stand," he said before he left. That afternoon, Izzy's customers had heard the bad news. They paraded up and down the block carrying signs and chanting, "Save Izzy's! Save Izzy's!" Izzy wasn't waiting for the wrecking crew. He ran off to Heiferville, where he found Madame Moulamoo walking her dog, Hula. Izzy introduced himself to Madame Moulamoo. "You see," said Izzy, "I built this hot dog stand on a lot between your 2 buildings. It's called Izzy's. I named it after myself." "I'm not interested in hot dogs," said Madame Moulamoo. "It's more than a hot dog stand," said Izzy. "It's a place where it doesn't matter if you have scales or fur, if you're green, purple, or blue, if you like knockwurst or kosher. It's a place to take a few minutes of your day to stop and enjoy one of life's last simple, succulent wonders, a hot dog. If you would only come see my hot dog stand, you wouldn't want to tear it down." "I don't have time to fly off and see a hot dog stand," said Madame Moulamoo. "I'm busy. I build malls. Besides, I've got to go buy Hula a new sweater." "At least have a hot dog," said Izzy. As Madame Moulamoo left, Izzy handed her a tofu dog with sauerkraut, mustard, and grilled onions. When Izzy went back, the wrecking crew was setting up. "I thought Madame Moulamoo would change her mind," thought Izzy. "Maybe I put too many onions on her tofu dog." The truck with the wrecking ball pulled up in front of his hot dog stand. Izzy covered his eyes. And there's a lot of people with Save Izzy signs looking very sad as they're looking at this wrecking ball. "Wait!" someone shouted. "What's that up in the sky?" Izzy looked. A helicopter hovered overhead, lowering a figure down to the ground. Madame Moulamoo landed in front of the hot dog stand. "Do you have any more of those tofu dogs?" she asked. Izzy smiled. "Would you like a drink with that?" he asked. "Most extraordinary," said Madame Moulamoo as she looked at Izzy's hot dog stand. Please, don't make Izzy move," cried Zeppo. "I eat a chutney chicken dog at Izzy's every day of the year. He even puts a sparkler in my hot dog for the 4th of July. "There's only one thing to do," said Madame Moulamoo, and she picked up one of the Save Izzy signs and held it high in the air. When the mall was finished, Izzy's hot dog stand stood proudly in the middle. "You were right all along," said Madame Moulamoo. "This is a great place for a hot dog stand." And you can see this giant mall with people shopping, and their cars are driving in on the left side, and they look pretty empty except for the people driving them. And as you see them pulling out on the right side, they're all carrying things that they bought in the mall. But right in the middle, smack in the center, outside on the sidewalk where people can get to it, is Izzy's hot dog stand, and there happens to be a line of people. And that is the end of This Is a Great Place for a Hot Dog Stand. I hope you liked it. Maybe you want to eat a hot dog now that you heard this story. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so you can hear more stories at least once a week. Thanks.
And Billy hopped onto his bed, got under the covers, and at few moments later, Nibbly came jumping right up next to him and got under the covers. And a few moments later, they were both fast asleep.